First, I see a lot of friends and supporters, and I just want to say thank you. And that's all I can say, because from the bottom of my heart, so many of you put your heart, and sweat, and money, and time into our campaign. And I hope I did not win, but I'm proud of the campaign that we ran. And I'm proud of what you did for us. And I just want to let you know, I hope to be back in 2012. I haven't told my wife that yet, but so keep that quiet. But I am not pleased with the way this state is going. And, you know, if I was, I would admit it. I'd say she was doing a good job. But she's not doing a good job, and I'm not surprised. But I do want to, now my goal is not to talk about 2012. Because that's a way off. We've got to deal with 2010 right now. And we've got to put all of our energy into 2010. The heck with 2012. This is the time. This is the place. I wish, by the way, I had not have to drive back to Charlotte right after this speech. And I do. I apologize. I have a business commitment. I was hoping to drive back to Raleigh. That was my goal. I was hoping to live in public housing. My wife was hoping to get a job at NC State. I was hoping to own some beach property at a good deal. You know we wouldn't have done that. I want to talk to you about 5 things that I think we should talk about as Republicans in the 2010 election. Whether you're running for county commission, whether you're running for U.S. Congress, whether you're running for sheriff, whether you're running for state legislature, or U.S. Congress or U.S. Senate, I think we as Republicans can unite on 5 issues. We don't have total agreement on everything, but by God, I want the Democrats to fight among themselves. We as Republicans cannot afford to do that. And not only that, but our goal is we have to get some independent voters to win. And we can't just depend upon the Democrats to do such a bad job, which they're meeting all of our expectations. We have to also offer an alternative in this election. Do you agree with that, Ping, on that? So I want to talk about 5 quick issues that I recommend to you. This is from someone who's won 21 elections and lost 1. Okay? That's all my primaries, run for mayors, city council, and governor. 21 and 1 record. And these are the 5 issues I want to talk to you about. The first issue is this. And I'm going to ask you a question. This is going to be a conversation a little bit, okay? What is the number 1 issue in America right now?
Jobs.
Not health care. What is the number 1 issue?
Jobs.
It's jobs. What is the number 1 issue in America?
Jobs.
You're halfway there. Lack of jobs. Let me tell you what the number 1 issue in America is that separates us from the Democratic Party. We say the number 1 issue is private sector jobs. That's the difference between us and the Democrats. The Democrats think we can recover from this recession through public sector jobs and hiring more and more government workers. Because they classify government jobs and private sector jobs as the same, and they're not. I'm not against public sector employees. I used to be one. But the fact of the matter is, in order for our economy to survive, it's going to survive through the private sector. And we as Republicans got to appeal to the private sector. Frankly, I hate to tell you, but the public sector is owned by the Democratic Party. That's why they want to grow it more and more. That's why they want the health care legislation to pass, to make us more dependent upon the public sector. So the number 1 issue for us, differentiates us from the Democrats, is what? Private sector jobs. And we've got to come up with innovative ways in working with the private sector to grow the private sector and not grow government. And almost all of the stimulus money right now, you're running for Congress against Mel Watt, almost all of the stimulus money is going to shore up government jobs at the local, state, and federal level right now. I know it because I'm a mayor and I took some of the stimulus money. And it went toward government jobs. By the way, I didn't want to take it. But in fact, I said, if I don't take it, will you promise not to spend it elsewhere? And they went, no, it's going to go elsewhere. Well, if that's the case, then my taxpayers have to pay for it, so you might as well take it. But it went toward government jobs. It did not create new private sector jobs. This bogus argument that Vice President Biden came into the state yesterday and said we created or retained or saved 50 or 60,000 jobs in the state is bogus, because I filled out some of the reports. Some of those jobs, which I answered the questions correctly, were jobs that lasted 4 and 5 weeks. They're gone already. And yet the debt remains for the next generation. Number one issue is what? Private sector jobs. I think every candidate can run on that issue. I don't care what level. The second issue, I hope you agree with me on this, you might not. One of the presidents, and I've been talking about this at Lincoln Day dinners across the state, one of the presidents that we as Republicans do not talk about enough is a hero of mine and a hero of many people in my father's generation. He was the Supreme Allied Commander. And he was President of the United States for 8 years. And for whatever reason, we as Republicans don't bring up his name, but I think we should. His name, of course, was what? Dwight David Eisenhower. And let me tell you, not only was he a great hero in World War II and led the D-Day invasion, and told Monty what to do, but as president, he did something as a Republican that I actually respect. When he spent government money, he spent it on things that had long-term sustainability and helped the economy and helped create private sector jobs. What did Dwight David Eisenhower do?
Built the road.
The interstate highway system, which is still with us today. It connected the East Coast from the West to the West Coast, connected rural with urban. It was innovative. And we're benefiting from that 62 years, 60 years later.
57.
Thank you.
57 and 5 months.
Thank you. 57 years later, we're benefiting from the interstate highway system. So I believe government does have a role in some things. And I do believe government has a role in infrastructure. In fact, if there was going to be any stimulus package, I wish it all would have been spent on infrastructure. But instead, Obama only spent 10% on infrastructure. He spent 90% on government jobs. If he would have rebuilt and put all the money toward the Yadkin River Bridge, I would tell him, you know what, at least it benefits the next generation because the next generation is paying the debt. And the point I'm making to you is, I think if we as Republicans at local, state, and federal level talk, if we do spend your money, we're going to spend it on something that benefits the next generation because they're paying the debt for it. That's not what Obama's doing right now. You know, Roosevelt built dams, Eisenhower built highways, Obama is filling potholes. That's about how long that money's going to last, about as long as a pothole. I'm a mayor, I speak this way. You're going to have to refill that pothole again within a very short period of time. But I think we ought to talk about the vision of where the future infrastructure of our cities, states, and nations is going to come from. Because you have to have infrastructure to support the transportation for industry, from rural markets to urban centers, and vice versa. And I think that's a good issue for us. People would agree with us. The business community would agree with us. And we've got to appeal to the business community. And I'm impressed that your chairman's doing just that. The third issue. What is the number one responsibility of government? Protecting our citizens, public safety, defense of our country. Do we have agreement on that? Okay, am I talking about things we can agree on? All right, the number 3 issue that I think we as Republicans differ from our Democrats. We already differ on private sector job versus public sector jobs. We differ on infrastructure because they're not even spending the money on infrastructure. They're going to try on the second round because they know they screwed up on the first round. And the third thing is public safety and the defense of our country. And right now at the federal, state, and local level, we should own that issue.